when I do these recordings, I sit on an old church pew taken from a church in Elstoke where I used to live. And my wife has recently made a nice cushion to go on the pew, so I no longer slide. I kind of go, sit. Can't slide.
I do want to ask why you have a church pew in your house, but maybe we'll leave that for another time. This is the Sheer Isolation podcast. It's presented by Kieran Moore and Jon Ponting.
Howdy, y'all!
Oh, we're going American, are we? Howdy!
It's the American presidential race. It's all heating up now, isn't it? So I thought I'd go American for our Yankee friends.
We got 4 months of fun. 4 months.
Yep, can't wait.
And we do, the data does show that we get a lot of people listening to the stream version of our show from the States. So it's worth saying hello to them. I don't know why they would want to listen to two Wiltshire boys talking about the West of England music scene, but you are very welcome to listen to us.
Thank you very much for tuning in. We don't even sound that West Country, do we?
I don't think we do, no.
No.
We're not proper Bristol-like, no.
No, we're not proper Bristol-like. Yeah.
Yeah, in this week's show, we'll be playing the second part of our interview with Tre Stead, who is tour manager extraordinaire, who's been on the road with all kinds of musicians over the years, and at the moment is working in a Nightingale hospital because she obviously can't get out and about, so we'll be continuing our chat with her later on. We've also got some tunes from a couple of artists from the area. We mentioned, what was the guy's name? Mike Dennis, who we mentioned in last week's podcast. We're going to play one of his tracks, yep. Violin and rap combo, which is...
I heard Mike Dennis on Sam and Rich's BBC introducing session. Obviously blew my mind because he's really interesting. Like you say, it's kind of dub reggae, violin, rapping, really interesting. And Brian Reed was a massive fan. And I invited him to come perform for me. I said, look, Mike, would you be interested in a gig in Trowbridge? It pays 50 quid and you're supporting Mark Chadwick from the Levellers. And he said, oh, I'm really sorry, mate. I promised myself that I wouldn't do shows for less than £100 or whatever. I need to get to the next level. I said, oh, okay, no, I completely understand that. I'm really sorry. I can't offer you more. It's just with the level, frontman of the Levellers, it's sold out. It's just a token opening act. And he went, it's sold out. I'm getting paid and it's with the Levellers. Yeah, all right, I'll do it. I was like, oh, fair enough. And he came down to Trowbridge and he was absolutely fantastic. And he just blew us away.
Sold out and you only gave him 50 quid. You're so tight.
Right, shall I tell you something? Actually, this is really interesting for people who are listening. We sold 100 tickets at £15. That was £1,500, correct?
Yes.
Venue cost us 100.
Bargain.
We had two support acts that were, I think, was 100 for one and 50 for another. So that's 250 quid. Yeah? The rest
so
went to
you paid
Mark.
100 for the other support acts. I'm just going to point that out.
But okay, so originally I had two acts. It was Phil Cooper in support and Mark Chadwick, yeah? And I had 50 quid left in the budget and I paid it to the third support act. I could have not had a third support act. I could have just paid myself, but I didn't. I paid Mike Dennis. I literally took £0 from that gig. Nothing. I took nothing from it. So...
I'm always so mean to you, but I know you're a decent man. You're not in it for the money, you're in it for the music.
There are. I have done well out of gigs in the past. Obviously, I've made profits on shows. It's just this particular one, I didn't, and I did pay everyone. And I thought 50 quid to come down from Bristol, which is like less than 40 minutes from Trowbridge, full house. Everything paid for. I gave them a few beers as well. You know what I mean? It was a perfect show. So.
Do you remember when venues used to be full house? Wow, we'll come on to that later on. So yeah, we'll be playing a track later on, but also we're going to start off by playing a track from Sean Amor. Now, a few weeks ago on the show, we had a track from Jon Amor, who's a chap you know.
Yeah.
And now we're going to play a track from Sean Amor, who I know. Part of the Swindon Americana scene, and he's been in a few bands over the years, like the Bateleurs, Southern Harmony, that kind of style, and he's quite a well-known face around the folk and the more mellower venues in Swindon. So he's also a solo musician. He's got a few solo tracks out there, and he's recently released this track, which he recorded during lockdown. It's called Right to the Heart.
You won't stop till you took on the lie. You won't stop till you took take on all that I hold dear. Yeah, you won't stop till you take on the light. I feel lucky to have what I got, and I hold them near. Yeah, those days, some ways you get right to the heart. Yeah, those nights when we fight and go back to the start. All our hopes and all our fears, all our thoughts and all that is, drown in tears. You won't stop till you take on the light. You won't stop till you take on all that I hold dear. You won't stop till you take on the light. I feel lucky to have what I got, and I hold them near. Yeah, those days, some ways you get right to the heart. Yeah, those nights when we fight and go back to the start. All our hopes and all our fears, all our thoughts and all that is, drown in tears. You won't stop till you take on the light. You won't stop till you take on all that I hold dear.
So that is a new track from Sean Amor, which is right to the heart. So it's still that definite Americana vibe to it, which is something he's really well known for in the area. So it's a nice track. Have we got any product placement this week?
We do. I'm delighted you asked. This is a recipe book from Lady Nade. We played Lady Nade a few weeks ago on the show. And she, as we know, she's a Bristol-based singer-songwriter who I absolutely fell head over heels in love with her music. I can't believe she's not more famous and successful than she is, although she is very successful. And so I booked her for a show, which will be announced in due course. And through these lovely conversations and talking about it on Facebook and sharing her videos and getting loads of interaction, which is really, really nice, because when you share a video to try and gain traction, to sort of gauge interest, I shared her song and the response I got was just fantastic. I thought, this is really good for me. It's a really good sign. I know I've got a really good, people are interested. So that's great. And she said, thank you ever so much for booking her, sharing her music, etc. She said, can I send you a CD? I said, of course you can. She sent me a CD and she sent me this recipe book, which is all recipes which have all been sort of printed and made. And she's every song that she's written has the corresponding recipe. We haven't made any yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I thought, how lovely is that? So that's a way of selling more product.
So what part of the world is she from, or her roots from?
She's from Bristol. I think she was born and raised Bristol. But I mean,
they're not all Bristol recipes, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, no, they're not. There's an Italian one in here, and I don't think she's Italian. So carbonara. There's sweet potato and leek soup. So yeah, it's all over the place. Honey and ginger tea, chocolate kisses. It's just food I think she loves, but basically it really shines through with the music. So
we have to try a few recipes and let us know next week.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, it's time for us to get on to part 2 of our interview with Tre Stead. Now, if you didn't join the show last week, Tre is a tour manager. She her normal job is going all around the world. More recently, she's been working with Frank Turner, traveling around and just organising the band and organising the support acts and all that stuff.
And making sure the production managers are doing their job.
With COVID, she's been stuck, as have so many thousands of people in a similar boat. So we were talking to her and we just thought she was saying so many valid points. We carried on for a second week. So yeah,
we got such good content out of her. It was worth sharing it all.
Definitely. Now we're going to start this interview. She was talking about going to the We Make Events protest, which happened a couple of weeks ago, or the marches, I should say, in London, Manchester, and Liverpool. And she was just talking about what was happening at one of those events.
In the evening, there was a few, a ton of venues all around the country were lit up red for solidarity, and then we had photo opportunities outside the venues with all the crew that could gather. I think there was 400 people in Liverpool, and they showed a film that We Make Events, I guess Plaza guys have made, with a load of artists that sort of showing their solidarity and just showing people what they're missing. They had a list of the roles, like the job roles that goes towards. It's 500 people make like average to make an arena show happen. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of people.
One show in one venue in one city on one day. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, so
you add that up over a tour, 12 dates or whatever, then you're looking at nearly 3,000 people, if not more.
One of the I'm trying to remember all the statistics. I'm really terrible at these sorts of things. But one of the suppliers, they had a little sort of soundbite in this video, and it said they'd if they put together the amount of people that they'd be showcasing to using their I think it was audio systems this summer that they've lost out on, it'd be 10 million people.
Whoa! Wow!
Just like punters that that they've lost out on going to see these festivals that one supplier was working for.
So it's staggering, isn't it?
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, the numbers are, and the thing is, we're the hidden people. And you know what? Because the idea is that we are hidden. That's what,
of course.
Like, if you're good at your job, you're not seen. The band are the people on stage.
I'll tell you something, right, actually. Just a slight change of subject. Well, it's not. It's exactly on that point. I went for a job interview once, and I won't say where, but they asked me how I saw my role. And I said that I said exactly that. I'm hidden. And you know what? They didn't give me that job because I told them I didn't. They interpreted me as saying I didn't want to be seen, etc. I was like, that's exactly how a technician is.
Yeah. It's not about us. Like it's like my job is to be behind the stage. At the times that Frank tries to he gets up for birthdays, and I hate that, and he knows I hate that. And gets like crew to come up and do the harmonica solos and stuff, and I always run away when these things happen. He knows I do. Like, we've known each other a long time, because I don't want to be seen. Like, I do this because I want to be the cog that makes the machinery work in the background. I don't need to be the watch face.
No, fair enough.
So, what do you think is going to be happening next? Obviously, we can't really predict what's going to happen in terms of COVID and second waves and anything like that. But for you, what would be the ideal situation over the coming months?
So, the biggest issue is government support for the industry. We have, first off, the SCISS, self-employment furlough, is finishing. Doesn't even actually extend as far as the normal people PAYE furlough extends, which is October. Ours finished in August, which is completely unfair. Plus we pay tax on it. It's a whole another thing. That is just for the people that actually have qualified for that, because there are so many people that have fallen between the gaps. A lot of people, if you do this business, they become a limited business. They haven't been able to get any support. So loads of people have been without support for 6 months already, and you're asking them to do another year, another up to a year with no support. There's suppliers who've been going for like 20, 30, 40 years who they have 2 months worth of cash reserves left. And there's, and the thing is, without these people, they're saying 60% of people will leave their jobs if we can't get some more support. Like, we're not able to work, we're banned from working. And and it's not like it's an impossible ask. And I know there's going to be a lot of people being like, well, you know, why we've all struggled and, you know, we've all got with it. But like, everyone else is allowed to work. We're not allowed to work. And other countries have, like, you know, France has given a load of money to creative sector. There's no reason why. I know we're in a massive recession. Do you know what? We're in a massive recession. That's going to happen. We're, like, this isn't going to make that much difference. Let's be honest. Let's look at how much the banks were given in 2008 and look at how much we need just to, like, stop us. Like,
fractional by comparison.
it's crazy, yeah. So you know, I mean, and there's always going to be people that aren't happy with the system and aren't like covered and do fall through the cracks, but like, you know, there's no reason why we can't have a little bit of extra help, because our industry doesn't, it's not a selfish thing. I mean, it is a selfish thing, but it's not just a selfish thing. We want to do this job because our job is entertaining you guys, like the people, the public. Like our industry is something that everybody uses and like wants, and you know, and it's for entertainment and it's for mental health, and it's, you know what I mean, like that helps people. It's, you know, it means a lot to a lot of people. I'd be hard pushed to find anyone who's never been to a theatre show, who's never listened to the radio, who's never watched telly, who's never been to a conference, you know, for like their favourite like Pokemon character they like or whatever.
And it's an industry where people love their jobs, perhaps more than an insurance salesman loves his job. But he's been looked at, they've been looked after. But we love our jobs. Like you say, we're here to entertain. It's entertainment industry. It's the creative industry. It's actually the creation is, or entertainment is the UK's one of their biggest exports.
Exactly.
You know, we don't manufacture anymore. We create culture. We create music. We create film. We create art. That's what we're currently struggling with right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're like, the nature of what we do is that our industry is A, very competitive, and B, it ain't easy when you do it. It sounds great. It sounds like it's, you know, like, yeah, rock and roll, and, you know, just like hanging out and getting drunk and being on a tour bus and just traveling the world. We're also working 18-hour days, you know, and like, we also don't see our loved ones, and we also, you know, I haven't cooked. I've learned how to cook these couple of months because I haven't actually learned how to cook in 20 years. 20 years, I don't know how to cook, and I'm nearly 40. And so, do you know what I mean? Like, we know we sacrifice bits of our lives, including sleep, generally. And because of that, we're a nation of grafters. Like, and this is why, you know, we're not just sitting here going, please, sir, give me a handout. Yeah. I think everybody has, like, I don't know anyone who's been like, do you know what? It's fine. Everyone's gone, I'll go to Tesco's and get a job then. Yeah. Because we are people that want to work.
Absolutely. That sums it up perfectly. It's people who want to work, and they have all found alternative routes. But going back to that point earlier, unless this is looked after, there's going to be nothing to go back to.
No, and that's it. You can get people, you know, like, who's going to be there to do the audio for the Tory Party conference? If, you know, you know who it is? It's going to be people who, like, there's going to be companies undercutting each other. And this is going to happen anyway. You get what you pay for. So, like, if they're going to go for the cheapest people who are the only people left, you'll be like, I'll do it.
Yeah,
this is where things go wrong.
It's going to be pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Exactly. So, you know, like, you know, let's say there's companies that have been going for, like, one of the guys that I was with yesterday at the Liverpool March is a guy called Murph, who's really well known as stage manager in the industry. He's worked for, you know, he worked for us. He lowered himself to work with us on the last arena tour, but he's worked for Queen and Arctic Monkeys. I met him about 15 years ago on Arctic Monkeys, and he's been in the industry 40 years, and he's not getting any help. Do you know what I mean? Mad. And, you know, he's like, he's an old geezer now, and he can't, you know, and the jobs that he's going to be able to get. He told me for a few weeks he was doing a paper round. Wow. He did it in a car. He was like, up at 4 a.m. did a paper round for his, like, local thing.
That's mad, isn't it?
Like, do you know what I mean?
One minute he's ushering Arctic Monkeys on stage. The next minute he's delivering your newspaper. I
know.
What a story.
It's nowhere. The thing is, this is it though. It's nowhere as in Graces. No. We want to work. We'd love to work doing the thing that we enjoy, that we've actually, like, had experience in for decades. But in the meantime, happy to do something else. I'm not just going to sit here going, give me some furlough money so I can sit on my arse and do yoga every day. And you know, and bake.
That would be. Actually, we miss it. We actually do miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be like not sleeping on a tour bus than making banana bread, to be honest.
So that was Tre Stead. So that's the second part of her interview. And she touched on a few subjects there, like the Make Music Happen demonstration that happened in London. And next week's guest, we have Graham Nash, who is also going to mention that because he went to the march himself. And he has a different role to Tre. And luckily for us, he's based in Chippenham. So that will be next week's guest. And carries on a theme.
It is, yeah. And you just keep pulling these guests every week. I'd love if you had a Rolodex, it would be overflowing with those little Rolodex cards, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
So we've got that to come along next week.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
If you want to send us a track or get in touch with us, the email address you can go through is sheerisolation@gmail.com, where you can send us some tracks or send us some gig news. We've been hearing from a few venues now with the latest restrictions being lifted. Venues are shouting out now saying, we are now booking gigs. We want to hear from musicians to start playing. So maybe in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be able to start putting some gig listings into this show, which would be amazing.
Hopefully. Interestingly, I did speak to Darren at the Vic in Swindon, and he also runs the Level 3 in Swindon. Now, the Vic is probably still too small to host a show. However, Level 3, which is normally a 400 cap venue, has a socially distant capacity of 60. Now, 60 becomes a very realistic figure that you can start doing shows with again. I don't know what shows he's got booked. I'm sure if you were interested, you can look them up. But it's interesting to know that that's happening. And you may have noticed, John, that I put up a post saying that I'm like I've mentioned before, I'm getting a bit rusty, getting a bit concerned. My venue, the Village Pump in Trowbridge, is way too small to host shows. I think our capacity would be like 8 or something. There's no chance of us doing gigs until we can lift restrictions. But because we are allowed to have people in events, in buildings, and we are safe, I have said to people, my local scene, does anybody want to do some live recordings? Does anybody want to come in and just play to me and we'll record it and you can take it away as a rough demo, tracking, whatever. And I've had an awful lot of response. Loads of people have said, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And there's probably an element of this where they're also bored. They're also, sat at home. They also want to get out. A lot of people are probably sat at home writing material and, want a way of recording it. And obviously I'm now not busy. I've been told the Nield is not opening for the rest of the year. We're not doing any events. So that's me up until December, not doing anything. So I've taken this opportunity to say, right, if I'm not working at the Nield in the evenings, doing events Fridays and Saturday nights, I will do what I can, which is enabling people locally to record demos or live recordings. I've not sold it as a product that they can sell. It's not a studio recording. It's not going to be perfect, but it could be an interesting bit of fun.
You're keeping your own skills up to date by doing a bit of sound tech, and you're getting musicians out of their houses and getting a bit of practicing before all gears get put back into motion in a couple of months' time, hopefully.
What's also lovely is a lot of the people that contacted me have never worked with me before. A lot of people I don't know. So it'll be nice to meet some new people and see what they sound like and help them develop and move on to the next stage. So
that's the power of this show. See, they're all listening.
Yeah, that's right. I will be bigging it up. I'll be telling everyone.
Right, we've got we'll be ending shortly, but we do have time for one more track, and it's a chap we mentioned last week, Mike Dennis.
Yes.
I suppose because last week we played Kid Carpet, who's Bristol-based and very peculiar, unique sound, playing with his toy instruments and making those crazy songs, and this kind of inspired you to pick Mike Dennis as well, although he's not from the same kind of jokey background, but it's a very strange mashup of violin and rap.
Dub reggae, rap and violins. And he pulls it off, and it's just a really amazing, for a one guy, it's just absolutely fantastic to see how people can achieve their vision and using different objects. He's just brilliant. Captivated by him. And he's a lovely guy as well.
And this track is called Astronaut.
5. All 3 engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and lift
Astronaut.
off.
I used to work this incredible job. I hated it, so I acted an incredible knob. My workmates found it much more enjoyable. I left it happier, a little less employable. I felt like a rodent in my day-to-day. At home I lived like a king, games and takeaway. The heave in the morning to get out of bed was more than I could take. I thought I'd rather be dead. I had the idea that I was worth more than stocking other pockets that were rotten to the core. Look at me, I'm a prodigal son. They won't have the best of me before I've barely begun. So here I am, a race against time to pay rent, believing there's no job too excellent. I had this vision of a time and place. I think they need somebody like me up in space, because
Mom always said that you could be what you want. So here I am, astronaut, an astronaut. Mom always said that you could be what you want. So here I am, astronaut, an astronaut.
now I'm up here and things are looking sweet. I got this high-tech stuff, a footbath for my feet. My pay grade's hefty, they know I'm their man. All I have to do is monitor their satellite plan. And who could do it but me? I'm lounging in space, floating in my director's chair, grin on my face. Then an encrypted message pops through the HFR.
You're not as important as you think you are.
What? I spit my coffee out, dash to the comms, mic to bass. Didn't you get the memo? You're wrong. I'm the don of this spaceship. I'm indispensable. Static, a diastolic pinch in my ventricle. I gaze at the stars, feeling betrayed. My place up with Mars, Venus, Uranus is ebbing away. I start to pack with an afterthought. It's a sad thing to be an ex-astronaut.
Mama said that you could be what you want. So here I am.
I'm a mother. No.
Astronaut, an astronaut. Mama said that you could be what you want. So here I am. Astronaut, an astronaut.
I'm at the airlock in my suitcase. Farewell the good life, this hurts like toothache. Before I board the shuttle, a call comes through. This is Polaris House. Listen, you've got us confused. Huh? You told me I was just another number. I'm off, right? Got my spacesuit on and my suitcase locked tight. Repeat last, Mike. You've made a mistake. Listen now, all the glory's still yours to take. But look around. The ship is gigantic and the thought of being an astronaut is pretty romantic. So we're sending everybody up. I'll be there too. What you're missing is everyone's as important as you. Then how do I stand out? Look to your skills. You're handy with a microphone but not so good with a drill. I stand back told nothing's as great as space is. Mum always said not to get lost in status.
Mama always said that you could be what you want. So here I am. Astronaut, an astronaut. Mama always said that you could be what you want. So here I am. Astronaut, an astronaut. Astronaut, an astronaut. Astronaut, an astronaut.
Applied science.
So that was Astronaut by Mike Dennis. It is quite interesting. If you go onto YouTube, there's definitely two types of video. You've got the ones which he's pre-recorded and made the videos with, and they sound like this one. And then there's also the live recordings where he plays the violin through a track loop, builds up the song, and it can go on for like 10 minutes making this song with different violin layers in the background and then rapping at the end of it, which is, he's got two completely different sounds to him.
He has, and it's all very interesting. It's interesting because you never, with those loop things, they're never quite the same at every show. So it always develops and sounds, every time you go to a show, it'll always be a new experience. So he's the sort of person you can stand up for repeated viewings and watchings. So yeah, got a lot of time for him.
Got a lot of time for everybody. You've got too much time.
I don't have any time.
You're too generous with your time. That's what it is.
Maybe. Yes.
Right. So we will call that a day, call that a week. Thank you for listening and watching, everybody. We are here every week, same time, same place, wherever you listen or choose to digest us. And we are back next week with Graham Nash.
Yeah, Graham Nash. Fantastic.
So yeah, and until then, Kieran.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Go and have your tea, mate. Take it easy.
I'm going to have my tea. I'm hoping it's still warm.
Oh, what have you got?
I got made butternut. No, it wasn't. But what's the sweet potato curry?
Lovely.
It's going to be gorgeous, I'm sure.
Right, you can have that, mate. See you next week.
Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.